Well, let's show you how that vote has literally just gone in the last few seconds. As you can see there, 216 yeses from Republicans, 2 noes, 2 Republicans who didn't vote, 211 nays from the Democrats. And we can see there right at the bottom those totals, 216 to 214. So this bill will be passing. Let's bring in our Washington correspondent, Rosalind Jordan. Ros, it appears that towards the end there really was no question about this. Mike Johnson was saying just hours ago that he was confident that this was going to pass.
The House Speaker said that he was confident that the bill would pass, but with just a 3-vote margin, it is clear that there was significant opposition to this $3.5 trillion budget for the fiscal year 2026. It is also noteworthy that 2 Republican members of Congress voted against their own party's position and voted with congressional Democrats, mainly because they're concerned about the impact on the looming federal deficit. It's going to raise it by some $5 trillion, according to some estimates, if not higher. And there are some Republicans who are very concerned about the ballooning federal deficit. For their part, congressional Democrats say that this bill, which may be signed at the White House in the next few hours, basically is an attack on working class people, on poor people, on the infirm, and that this is rewarding billionaires, not looking out for the interest of the middle class, the working class, and the poor in the United States. But with a 3-vote margin, that argument essentially is moot. This measure is going to now become law.
And Ros, obviously, the White House has been very, very keen to see this passed. President Trump himself said he wanted this done by the 4th of July. That has now happened. I understand that a large number of very senior Republican members, including the president himself, were working the phone lines.
Well, they were working the phone lines. A number of recalcitrant Republicans were summoned to the White House on Wednesday evening, presumably to get the personal persuasion of the president in order to change their votes. Apparently, it has worked in all but 2 Republican members' cases. There was a real push to try to get this through. What is significant, however, is that if the Republicans had had their way, according to congressional Democrats, the final vote could have happened overnight while most Americans were asleep. Because of the, putative filibuster carried out by the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, this vote is happening in the middle of the afternoon in the United States so that people could see exactly where their member of Congress was taking a position on this new budget.
Indeed, Rosalind Jordan there, who's been watching that vote for us and all the happenings on Capitol Hill, speaking to us from Washington, D.C. Thanks, Ros. Let's now bring in John Diamond. He's the director of the Center for Tax and Budget Policy at Rice University's Baker Institute. He joins me now from Houston, Texas. Mr. Diamond, I'll start by asking for your personal assessment of the fiscal sustainability of this bill.
So in my studying of the bill does some good things and it does some bad things. Long term, it's likely to raise GDP by about 0.3%. But unfortunately, it also raises the debt to GDP ratio significantly from about 100% to about 125%. Wow. If you add that to CBO's projections of the debt going forward, the U.S. could reach a debt to GDP level of 186% by 2055 with this bill in place.
So I want to explain to our viewers what that means in practical terms. I know there's already been some uncertainty around U.S. securities, for instance, previously. Are you concerned about the impact, for instance, that this might have on the government's ability to borrow at relatively low rates?
Yes. I mean, I think, when you debt finance anything, so the more debt that the government takes on, that increases the interest payments that you have to make on the debt every year. And the U.S. is already paying over $1 trillion per year in interest, and this will definitely increase that significantly. And second, the market for debt, it includes the government and it includes private companies and private individuals. And the larger share of that market that's taken up by government debt leaves less for everyone else. And so we say that government debt often crowds out private investment as the government tries to finance all its debt. It leads to higher interest rates.
You mentioned that there are a few things you like in this bill. Any highlights for you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the bill's actually pretty good. I mean, if you didn't pass a bill, the American taxpayer was going to face something on the level of a $4 trillion tax increase. And so something had to be done. The things I liked were the permanent incentives for investment, allowing deductions for research and development expenditures, so we have more innovation and more growth in GDP. I think reducing the tax rates on capital and wage income were important. Closing down loopholes such as getting rid of the deduction or decreasing the allowable deduction for the state and local income taxes is an important policy. The only problem is they didn't go nearly far enough on that. But there are some good provisions. Unfortunately, there's also a lot of bad provisions.
There have also been some criticisms, I see, about some creative accounting in this bill. What do you make of those?
Yeah, so this was current law versus current policy. So how do you score a bill? If you score it relative to what the law says, then that would say that this bill was going to raise the debt by about $4 trillion. But if you say, hey, what's in place today, if we scored against that, which we call current policy, then the bill would have a very negligible impact on the debt. And the administration and Congress has been arguing that's how it should be scored. But that's not true. And all you need to do to see that is to look at the last section of the bill, which increases the allowable debt level by $5 trillion. And that's because the debt is going to increase. And that's because the bill is going to increase the debt significantly.
Well, we'll be watching closely to see what impacts this bill does indeed have. John Diamond there, the director of the Center for Tax and Budget Policy at Rice University's Baker Institute. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us on the NewsHour.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.